Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ronnie just coming to you today with a video. We're going to talk about a subject that comes up often. Probably going to do a few different videos on this, as I don't think I'm going to be able to cover everything in a period of time, and I'm going to forget things as we talk about things. So now, this is for people that are maybe interested in getting the suits, sport coats, blazers, understanding the difference. We've talked about this a lot, but this is one of the questions we get kind of often. Now, I've been selling this stuff for 6+ years. I still to this day pick up bad buys with referring to these different brands. And one thing I've learned over time, if you want the top dollar, you want the better price, you got to look for the more current styles, current tags. That's what people are willing to pay for. We're going to get into some screen shares. So we're going to talk a little bit. We're just going to figure this out. And we'll go from there. We'll talk a little bit about, like, for instance, the difference, the biggest difference people don't get is the difference between what is a sport coat, a blazer, and a suit or suit jacket, we'll say. A suit is technically when it has its pants with it. It's a part of a two-piece set. A lot of two-piece sets are solid in color or pinstriped. You rarely will see a pinstripe jacket alone, or unless it's a seersucker. Seersucker is a cotton material. It could be a cotton blend, but for the most part, it is a cotton, and it's like a textured cotton, if it makes any sense. Usually blue and white in color. I'll show a picture in a second, and we'll talk about it a little bit. All right. Forgot what I was doing here. So right here, we'll do a screen share and we'll talk a little bit about a seersucker. And this is a very common summery boating style jacket. Sometimes it has pants, sometimes it doesn't. It can sell alone. And where's the screen share? All right, hold on a second. I got something not working right here. Let me just see here. All right, not sure what's going on here. All right, we're back here. What a chaotic little mess. But you can see right here, this is a seersucker jacket. We just sold this not too long ago, and this is just a Brooks Brothers one. It's your very common, just blue and white striped here. You can see this is textured material. It's cotton, it's half lined. This is basically what that means. It's not lined all the way. It's lined to about the shoulder area, or to the mid-back area there, where your arms would be. And this is made for like summertime. Brooks Brothers tag. Nothing too crazy about this. You can see right here, it's blue and white. Sometimes you'll see beige and white, red and white, green and white, but most of the time it's going to be your traditional blue. It's like a slate bluish color usually. It's like a little bluish grayish color. But right there. And then let me see here. Now, a blazer is usually, now we're jumping a little bit here. We're going to talk about blazers a little bit. Blazers are usually something along the line of like this right here. This would be considered a blazer, I would think, or a sport coat, but most likely a blazer. It's green right here. It's a little bit different. Has anytime a jacket has different buttons, a blazer kind of looks like a uniform. It's going to have different buttons, and you can see right here, it's green in color, has mother of pearl buttons, so it kind of gives it a different feel to it. Some blazers, most of the time, are solid in color. Your traditional blazer, is a uniform. It's blue and gold buttons is usually your traditional blazer. Now they can be single-breasted or double-breasted. As you can see right here, this is your traditional, what a blazer would look like. Blue in color, gold buttons, and woolen material most of the time. You can see right here, these are the buttons, the gold tone. As this one has the Brooks Brothers logo on it. Gives you a little bit, some of these pictures are garbage, Ronnie. And this is like a double-breasted one, a little bit different right here. This one you can see has the lapels. These are peak lapels, as your other jacket here would have had. And this is a notched lapel, as you can see right here. Has a notch. Your traditional blazer or jacket in general will have knock lapels, notched. So a blazer is technically solid in color usually. It's still made to look like a uniform. Some type of gold buttons or metal buttons, or, you know, it could be horn or mother of pearl, something to stand out and make it a little bit different. That's usually what a blazer is. There is some differences, especially now with a lot of certain brands kind of pushing that line, making things a little bit more different. But, you know, a sport coat could be anything basically that you would wear with a pair of khakis or jeans. Usually it's a little bit different of material, linen, cashmere. It could be, I mean, it could be woolen sometimes, is wool. It could be many different things. Usually, rarely will see a 100% linen suit. Usually those will sell good if you do find them, or cashmere, so on, etc. But most of the time, sport coats are very different in patterns and so on and so forth. Like here would be this tricolor. It's a sport coat. You see like this one here. This is a linen material. It just has that like Glen plaid, but this is something that is it's half lined. Once again, has a single rear vent, and that's just a sport coat. Now, let me see here a little bit. We're going to get into, now this is more of a suit. You see these, and you'll see these sometimes with no pants. Really got to stay away from them. This is, for instance, is a chalk line. It'll be pinstripe. They'll be most of the time gray or blue in color, occasionally black. And you really want to stay away from these if they don't have the pants. You can see right here, this one has the pants. Another nice key to look for in a higher dollar suit is working cuffs or surgeon cuffs. Some other names for them I can't think of off the top of my head. But you can see right there, these unbutton. This is a higher quality made suit. And you know, there's always the tags. A lot of times they'll give away the information. Like this one was made on 1/17/11. So I mean, you have an idea. It talks about who it was made for, etc., etc., etc. Now this one you could see right here, it does not have the does not have the brand name in it. I mean the size, sorry. And I'll do another video about that in a day or two, talking about that. But you really kind of want to stay away from anything when you see stuff like that. And it's just if it doesn't have the pair of pants, you really don't want to pick it up. It becomes a very hard sell. Men don't want just a pinstripe blazer. It doesn't go with anything. It's hard to match it up, so on, etc. Let me see here, and you kind of, and then your traditional, like we talked about, your traditional sport coats could be solid in color, usually not black, but blues, greens, could be any color, and people have these things custom made, different materials, something that looks like it could go with a pair of khakis, so on, etc. Jeans would be a good fit. Then you want to get into like the tags and understanding the tags. Now this is a Zegna suit. I've had this suit for a while. I've retook pictures on this suit I don't know how many times. There's no love for this suit. This is an older Zegna suit, and you would think, oh, it's wool and cashmere blend, it's going to sell. I've tried having this for sale for a while. But this is an older Zegna tag. This is from the 90s, early 2000s, early. So, I mean, if you understand your Zegna stuff, this is at least 15 years old. And it may be chasing off buyers due to the age or so on, etc. People that really know what they're looking for, it may. Now, this is another older Zegna piece, probably from the late 90s, if I remember right. This is a Zegna soft line they had. These have always been a hard sell for me. The only reason I picked this one up is because it was all cashmere. And this one surprisingly sold fairly well. But you can see the style of jacket in this. It's a 3-button front. It just doesn't, it has the patch pockets here, or triple patch is what they would call this. And it just doesn't jive right. I was actually surprised it sold, but it just looks different. This is a more recent, I would say, Zegna tag. This is probably from around 2002, 2003 to around 2013, 2014 there. They had this tag for about 10 years. You'll see it right there, Zegna. And for this one, it was made for Mr. Sid, but it will usually, without that Mr. Sid part, you'll see the Zegna. You'll have that black tag, looks nice and clean. And this will be the other tag that goes with it, because they did change that tag when they had some of the other, when they redid the lines and redid the, makeover on it. And you can see right there in the bottom, Zegna stuff will always tell you the, if it's a jacket or blazer for the most part, or if it's part of a suit, always tell you on the bottom there. And another thing with Zegna suits, Canali, a few other brands, they're always going to be sized in European. So you jump here, you would see 50 regular. It's technically a 40 regular. And the biggest way you can do that is just by the pit-to-pit measurement. A pit-to-pit measurement on a 50 regular jacket would be about 52 to 54 inches. Now, if you've seen something a lot smaller than that, guess what? This one right here is 2175. So it fits within that range that there's no way that could be a 50 regular. 50 regular would be like a 2X. And yeah, you get my drift. Somebody 2X is not wearing a pit-to-pit of 22. Like, it's not going to happen. So understand, it's very easy to understand. Some jackets will be tailored. You got to remember, a lot of jackets, especially when you get into higher quality jackets, more expensive jackets, they're going to be made for a person specifically. So the tags might not even be 100% correct. They might be something that was bought and then made to fit somebody even a little bit more different. So sometimes when measuring a jacket, you have to measure it, and you may have to basically give a new size to it. It might not match up, So, and this is the more current, this is the recent, the current style. You find this in stores right here. This is that Zegna tag right there. Has the little black lines on it. And 15 mil 15 is the kind of wool that they had. And you can see right here, this is the newest and more recent ones right here. They still show that this is part of a suit. I picked this up because it had a nice pattern to it, as you can see right there. I figured this could stand alone with a pair of khakis or so on and etc. And it had some loose stitching on it, but you can see right there, once again, says 56 regular. This thing was tailored up to, it came to about a 44 short. And a lot of the other stuff that we found in this thrift store that day, the pants were all inseamed like 20, 28, 27. You can see it just has a bunch of writing. I don't have no idea what half of this writing means. No idea. I mean, you can see like material and model number, but you can see right there in this one too, it has the fit. Miller's the fit. They have different fits for the Zegna stuff. But it had some loose stitching on the buttons. It was really odd, but this was one of those ones that I put this up actually what I thought was fairly cheap, and it actually sold pretty quickly, so I was happy with this. And this paid for almost everything we picked up that day. Or it did pay for everything we picked up that day. So, you know, sometimes you have to, you can see by the sizes of this thing. This is not, when you get to like a 28 length, and that's from the bottom of the collar, and 23 shoulder seam to cuff, it's no longer a regular. And you could Google, there's a, and I may try to find it and put it in another video when we're talking about measuring suits. But there is a website, and it has like a different thing of where a jacket should be at what sizes, you know, with the length of the sleeves and length of the thing, or length of the back, to understand basically if it's a regular, large, or I mean long, large, small, short. Oh boy, I'm all mixed up here. Short, regular, long, and extra long, I should say. And depending on the size of the jackets, it's depending. You could get more if it's something a little bit more different. Extra long jacket, a bigger size jackets. There's less competition when you get to a lot of those, so you could usually ask a little bit more. Some people tend to get greedy and they think they're going to get 2 or 3 times the price when it doesn't really work like that. But that was a difference in the tags, and I talked a little bit about sizing and so on, etc. Now, another brand that's really high-end brand, but you come across a little bit here and there, is Oxford. This is an older Oxford tag. I've had this suit for a while, and sometimes just the older stuff is going to sit. I probably readjust the prices on a lot of the older stuff because some of these things were priced a few years ago, and yeah, that's another thing. You will sit on stuff for a while. You could even try auctioning off this stuff, and it may not get any bids at all for a while. Like, stuff is just crazy with some of this stuff. But you want to see what a newer Oxford tag, and depending on how newer the tags are, you can ask more better price for your items. You can see right here, this is a more newer Oxford tag. You could see how the differences in that tag. It's more cleaner. It's not as old looking as you see this one. That looks old. See this one? Looks newer. And then they have their Oxford crest here. And again, let me just put that there, show you what that looks like. This is a newer also. I've never found a newer Oxford jacket. I mean, this is probably one of the best American suit makers you can find. Oxford crests. Most of their stuff is made to order, if I believe not. It's all made to order and stuff like that. So it's going to be expensive. Some pieces going to sell better than others, and usually can do fairly well with it. But different tags of Oxford, and depending on what tags you got, depends on what you're going to get. Like the first one I showed you here, this is probably all the way into the 80s. 90s. They had this style for a while. Now, a lot of times they'll have here in the date, you can see right here, this person, before they blacked it all out, they had the name, and so on, etc. So another brand that you come across that a lot of people get confused about is Canali. Canali is, they have a lot of older style suits that just don't do that well. But every once in a while I do sell them, and I adjust the prices here and there to sometimes move these things depending on the fit and everything. But this is an older Canali tag, Canali pasta, and this tag, this was like even a lower level Canali. This was more like their starter Canali suits, and you can see right there what we were talking about Canali with the sizing 40 regular. I mean, they market 50 regular. It's based on a European size, so we've had this a long time. You could even see like here, like on the cuff buttons, 2 cuff buttons. You rarely will see a jacket with just 2 cuff buttons. And like here, for instance, this is something they had for a while, but this was into like the mid 2000s. They had the blue tag, and their inside tag is actually, believe it or not, still the same. It's still the same. And then the brown tag is kind of more recent, but this was to about 2000, probably mid 2000s to about 2013-ish. They had the brown tag. Once again, the inside tags stay the same. Like, that tag doesn't really change all that much. This one still has a little bit of a paper on it. You could tell usually by the fading of the tags if they've been used or a lot lately. And this one, is not really worn that much. Probably worn once or twice. This jacket, this suit, I should say. And this is the current one you find right now in the stores. Probably over the last 4 years, they've had this. It's that silver tag. Canali has a little line through it. And they have different models of Canali, but once again, that other tag's still the same. This is part of a suit, actually. You can tell because it says 40 regular, and then the size of the pants, I believe, are 34. I'm pretty sure that's what that tag is. But once again, I mean, if you could buy something, this pattern should be able to go with, stand alone as a sport coat or suit. It would have been nice to have the pants with it, but you can see right there, nice little checkered window pane pattern. All right, so we're talking about how recent a lot of these are and stuff like that, and as you can see, I mean, a lot of that stuff does really well, depending on what price point you can get into it and how recent. I kind of stay away from a lot of the older styles now. 3-button front jackets are kind of older. 2 buttons are now. If you ever look at jackets, like look at like a TV series from the 90s, or even like Comedy Central and stuff like that, and they have comedians talking, they're in their suits and stuff, you could see how loose and baggy a suit was. A lot of double-breasted suits, which is some people like a double-breasted suit, some people don't. I still pick them up if I find them, because especially they just seem to sell decent. There's not a huge competition, and I think when certain people, they like something and they're always gonna feel that they need to have that. More of an older style jacket though. Double breast is just the one where it goes over the other side. Buttons, usually there's like 5-6 buttons on the front of it. But back to the thing, 3-button fronts, pleated pants, cuffed on the bottom. That's more of an older style suit. You're going back 6 years plus now. Trends always change. Now people want more like athletic fit, especially the younger generation of people, and that's why brands like J. Crew, Banana Republic, Suit Supply do well with a lot of their suits. Even though they're cheap, they're more geared towards that younger, probably 35 under, that newer working class of people. They're like kind of starter suits to get out. To look good, go out and kind of get yourself into that, um, you know, buying something nice before you upgrade into the better quality brands, the Briones of the world and the Ketons and the world and stuff like that. But they're more athletic fit. They're 2-button front, flat front trousers, no cuff on the pants. That's kind of the style now. It kind of flip-flop. Will I pick up older style stuff? Depends on the price. Depends on the brand. Depends on the material. Oh, that's a whole nother story we can go to. Just with wools, there's multiple different kinds of fabrics of wools. You have your wool tweed, which is that scratchy wool, and then you have your regular everyday wool that you could have with a suit or something like that. And then you have your thicker wool. It's like a flannel. Then you have your hopscotch that you'll find in like blazers. It's kind of almost like a sack bag material, but it's wool. Wool could be made so many different ways. And then you have your super fine wools, like the 120s, 150s, 180s. The finer the wool, the more expensive. I think we found a 250 wool and a Brione, even though it was a suit jacket. That thing sold for big money because the brand, I think it was because it was also blue. And the wool is super fine. The super finer the wool, the more expensive the jacket. But not always. Sometimes you got to really pay attention to the brand on those, because there's some brands that have no following whatsoever and be like super 150 wool, and it's like, it's not going to sell no matter what because the brand is not great. But this is going to be the first video of many. We're going to talk about how to ship these bastards, and we're going to talk about how to photograph them and certain other things. But this is just a little bit of a video. I don't want to get too long into this, but we're going to make a bunch of different videos on this, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. If you have any other questions or anything you want me to cover when we talk about bleach and blazers, comment down below so I can make sure to get it into one of the next videos. Probably make these videos, we'll probably make one a week, maybe 2 a week here. It just depends on what's going on and what else we're doing. But I'm going to try to make these videos for everybody to understand. Now, you got to remember, selling these things, they take time. Some sell fast, some sell slow. You got to be prepared for that. Got to be prepared for space. They are big. As you see them right here. I inventory them. I put them in the boxes from the United States Postal Service. The 1095 boxes. Now, depending on where they're going, suits, sport coat, blazers, I'll put in a regional A box if it changes it up. A lot of times, just by weight, it'll go the same price, unless it's going to the West Coast. A suit, I like, because it's a 2-piece thing, I like to put them in a medium flat rate, or depending on where it's going in the country, I'll keep it in that box. I reuse these boxes. I'll give actually the inventory numbers to a different suit that we just pick up and throw it into place. But for the most part, because where we are located in Massachusetts, most of the country I can ship to for under $10 usually. Occasionally it goes a few dollars over, and it'd be as high as whatever it is, $12.85, $12.65 for a medium flat rate. That's it. I charge $10 a suit, $11 on some of them. Don't ask why there's a difference, because there is. I don't know. I think it was one of the templates I made. And yeah, if it's going close by us, it's anywhere from $7.50 to $8.50 usually. So you make some dollars here, you lose $1 here. Reason why I don't do calculated though is because when we did calculated, 3 pounds is about $15 or $18 the buyer gets charged. In the West Coast, it cuts off a lot of people. That's why we use a flat rate medium. But you got to remember, if it's local, medium, it gets caught up into too many different things. I don't know. Do what you like. Be happy with it. But don't put them in these. Don't. The only people that use these for shipping, people that do free shipping for suits and sport coats. And I think it's tacky as hell. There's no protection on this. I've bought a lot of stuff from buyers, and probably 1 out of every 3 has cracked buttons. There's no protection. And not forgiving, you got to stuff one of those in there. I have a hard enough time getting a pair of jeans in there. I think it's tacky as fuck. But like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Have a good day. See you.